In Indonesia, the highest compliment society gives a teacher is calling them a Pahlawan Tanpa Tanda Jasa, an unsung hero. But for hundreds of thousands of honorary contract teachers, that heroic title comes with a monthly paycheck of just 300,000 to 1.5 million rupiah. That income falls drastically below the minimum living standard in almost every province across the country. The label of hero actually serves a highly specific function here. It acts as a cultural smokescreen, masking a severe lack of basic economic rights. By law, this financial struggle shouldn't exist. Article 31 of the 1945 Constitution legally guarantees that 20% of the entire national budget must go directly to education. You see the required 20% ceiling, but actual funds reaching classrooms hover between 15% and 17%. The government closes this gap using creative accounting. They categorize non-instructional initiatives, like the free nutritious meal program, as education spending, stacking the numbers to hit that 20% threshold. Expanding the definition of education leaves schools and teacher salaries with a massive structural shortfall. The money meant for pedagogy is absorbed by welfare programs. To prevent the entire schooling system from collapsing under a multi-trillion rupiah deficit, the state relies on a specific psychological strategy to keep its educators working for pennies. If you read official state policy documents and local regulations, you will repeatedly find words like panoption, devotion, and dedikasi, dedication. This language is intentional. It shifts the act of teaching away from a contractual professional relationship and turns it into a moral calling. Once teaching is defined as a sacrifice, it strips away the legal standing to demand a living wage. A request for fair compensation gets framed as a selfish violation of their heroic duty. This burden falls overwhelmingly on female teachers. They make up the vast majority of the workforce and navigate a double burden, facing both deep economic insecurity and uncompensated administrative workloads. This language of devotion operates as an ideological mechanism, a tool explicitly designed to justify and legalize the systemic underpayment of the pedagogical workforce. The mechanism that actually dictates how much an honorary teacher gets paid is fiscal decentralization. The central government passes the responsibility of paying salaries down to local provincial budgets. That creates a system entirely dependent on the Fiscal Capacity Index, or IKF, which measures exactly how much money a specific region can generate to fund its own public services. On the wealthy extreme of that index, you have Jakarta. The capital spends 10.5 million rupiah per student annually, and its local government can easily afford to offer its teachers substantial regional bonuses. But looking at this map, you see the immediate contrast with a low-index region like East Nusa Tenggara. Here, the budget shrinks to just 3.85 million rupiah per student, making it mathematically impossible for the local government to pay its teachers a living wage. Under this decentralized framework, an Indonesian educator's survival relies almost entirely on their zip code, completely detached from their professional skills or qualifications. The government recognized the strain and introduced a highly anticipated fix, a 2025 deadline mandated by the Civil Apparatus Law, to convert all honorary teachers into official government contract workers, known as PPPK. Yet the implementation carries a severe catch. The policy creates a brand new category of employment called PPPK Paruh Waktu, or part-time PPPK. This part-time scheme finally grants a teacher an official government ID number, but it legally sanctions a base salary of roughly 1.08 million rupiah a month. That figure remains far below standard minimum wages. The 2025 transition will not end the exploitation of educators. It simply takes their severe economic insecurity and gives it an official bureaucratic stamp of approval. Other nations with massive populations and decentralized systems have found actual solutions. Brazil resolved a similar crisis with its Fundeb system, mandating a strict nationwide minimum spending floor per student and forcibly redistributing funds from wealthy areas to poorer ones. The Philippines implemented a salary standardization law, which created legally binding, equitable baseline wages for their teachers, regardless of whether they taught in the capital or a remote province. Balancing fractured local budgets by underpaying the people running the classrooms is not an unavoidable reality of developing nations. It is a deliberate policy choice. The state has set its sights on Golden Indonesia 2045, a grand vision that relies entirely on cultivating a highly educated, world-class workforce to drive future economic growth. A golden generation cannot be built by exhausted teachers who are forced to work second jobs just to survive. To achieve that 2045 vision, the nation has to stop paying its educators in devotion and start paying them with structural equity.